And let's check now on the markets at this hour. Investment Committee today is Courtney Gibson, Rob Sechin, Steve Weiss, John Najarian, co-founder of MarketRebellion.com. Let's look at some numbers, shall we? The markets little changed really on this news out of Kabul. It's not that the market seems to be taking its cues from. We'll talk about that in a moment. But there you look at 5 of the market metrics. The Dow Industrial's about 0.1% lower, 0.2% for the S&P 500, Nasdaq again, little changed. Russell 2000 down about 0.5%. And there you see the yield on the 10-year note moving higher again at 1.35%. Of course, the federal welcome to all of you on the investment committee. Let me turn to you first, Steve Weiss, and get any thoughts you have about how what is going on in Kabul affects the investment landscape, if at all.
Tyler, good to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
I don't think it affects it at all. We saw a knee-jerk reaction down on news of the first explosion. I'd say that's typical, and I can't tell you if it's the algos that read the news stories that come out that sold it down or people that worry. But anytime you see geopolitical incidents, it is always, and I repeat that, always a buying opportunity. This I would not put into that category because it just doesn't have any impact whatsoever on the markets. The human tragedy is, of course, another story, but this just doesn't figure into my thinking, nor should it figure into anybody else's. We're out of there. It's a different part of the world. It's not affecting our commerce, not affecting our import-exports, period. So that's how I see it.
Rob, do you
No
digress at all from what Steve just said, or are you on the same page with Steve?
You know, I'm on the same page. It is another thing to worry about. It's probably something that you shouldn't worry about, to Steve's point. But the one thing about these markets is the more there is to worry about, the more when you remove those worries, markets can climb those walls of worry. So I do think outside the human tragedy, which is absolutely horrific, that, this is probably something you shouldn't consider as you're making investment decisions.
And John Najarian, any digression from you?
Well, I, of course, agree that a short-term incident like this definitely hit those algos. We saw immediately, bang, like that, put buying in the indices. That was, Tyler, puts that were purchased on the S&P 500, as well as numerous other short positions that were established. We fell about 24 points for the S&P. These days, that's, let's call it 0.5% or so. It's not a huge move. So I'm not going to disagree with Rob or Stephen that this was both horrific and just a knee-jerk reaction, not a long-term stop of anything that was else that was going on in the markets.
All right.